everyone, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jin Gui.
And you might have seen us on MasterChef Singapore Season 4.
And after MasterChef Season 4, we have been busy with our own brands. We actually started our own brand called the Big Deb and Punch Kitchen. For Big Deb, actually I specializes in like ice cream, cakes, tarts, as well as cookies. And for you?
For me, I've been running Pan Kitchen with my partner Alex, and we sell Italian sandwiches. We've been doing a lot of pop-ups, and even recently we did a pop-up collaboration with Big Deb. So if you'd like to find out more about our pop-ups, collaborations, and special menu items, come and follow us on our Instagram to find out more.
Yeah. So for today, we are actually gonna do a Father's Day special, which is called the multi-layer coffee crumble tart.
We wanted to do this because we know that many fathers love coffee and chocolate, and we wanted to do something hearty. So this is a very simple multi-layered tart which you can do at home to impress your fathers.
So let's get started now. So as for the multi-layer tart, coffee crumble tart, the first layer is of course the tart shell. We're gonna start making the tart shell from scratch. So these are all the ingredients prepared. So
what are you adding today?
Okay, it's just like 4 simple ingredients for the tart shell: flour, icing sugar, butter, and an egg. So what we need to do first is just the first 3 elements: the flour, butter, icing sugar, and the butter will go in first. And we're gonna knead it up first before we add in the egg to combine everything together. So I'll start off with putting the flour in. So all this is already measured out for you all. Oh. Flour. So for the flour, we will be using normal plain flour. So any kind of plain flour will do. So for icing sugar, we just pour it in as well. Why we use icing sugar as compared to normal fine sugar is because this is a lot finer. So the tart shell will be nicer in a way. So just put the 3 elements in like this.
Must the butter be cold for this?
Yes, try to make it a cold butter so that when we put in the elements, it will still be able to combine it together as a dough. If it's a soft and melted butter, it will become very like crumbly and soft, and then it will be hard to even roll it out as a tart shell. Okay, after we add in the flour, icing, and butter in, we're gonna just close it and then put on a turbo mode for 1 second. Okay. 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 So we're gonna repeat this step for 3 to 4 times first until it's combined together. Okay. So we're gonna start again. So we're gonna do a 3 to 4 times. One more time. Okay. So I need to go up. Okay. Now we need to add in the egg to combine all the mixture together. So just add in the egg.
So just 1 egg, right?
1 egg. Alright. Then we're gonna do the same thing again until it's like a dough. Alright. So okay, now it's like in the crumbly texture. We're gonna use our hand to combine all together. Alright?
I should help you to shift for this.
Alright.
Yeah.
So gonna put it out here. Gonna use a spatula. Okay, we're gonna just pour it all out. And we're gonna combine into a dough. Okay, the reason why for the tart shell I use turbo function instead of like the knead dough is because I don't want it to be warmed up. So I want actually a crumbly texture. So when I combine it, it's easier to roll it into a shape that I want and then put it in the tart shell. Like it's easier for me to, because usually what I do, my hand is already warm. So I combine it together like this. I can knead it into a shape. Then when I put it on the tart shell mold, it's easier to shape it up instead of like using a dough kneader to knead it instead. Okay, so So you see, just combine everything together.
Oh, wow, it's coming together.
Yeah, coming to like a dough. Okay, so it's using my hand to just combine, roughly just combine everything together. Then we're gonna just roll it out with a rolling pin. Then we put it on the touch shell mold. Alright, so just knead it out like this. Flatten it.
What's the thickness that you're looking at?
Maybe not too thick, like a small little finger tip size.
Ah.
So if it's too thick, the crumble will not be nice because we have so many elements in between it as well. So you just put it like this. So for the turbo mode, you see it's not so wet. It's a lot drier, so it's easier to shape it as well. So we just need to combine everything together. Okay, just put it on the stove. So the recipe given is actually good for at least 2 tarts. Alright?
You can even do smaller versions.
Or you can do like a mini tarts as well. Yeah. So you just need to combine it together and cut off the edges. Right? Just cut off the edges. Okay. So you can see it's a bit thick over here. So you just use your fingertip to just knead it and push out the ends. So what we call the kneading function on the touch shell is called the pinching method. So you just need to pinch it like this to push out evenly on the tarts shell. So like this is the pinching method. You just pinch around it and then just flatten it to make sure everything is all more or less even out. Then you cut off the edges again. Okay, this dough, if you are not making it today, just wrap it up in a cling wrap, keep it frozen, it can be kept for months. So anytime you want to use this dough, you can just thaw it down and you can just make it in the touch shell like this. Yeah. So just cut off. So okay. So this one, we just need to use a fork to just poke a few holes. Alright. Okay, let's get a fork. Where's the fork? So instead of just blind baking it, we just need to poke some holes so that it will not puff out too much. Alright. So just poke some holes like this. So we just let it set for about 10 minutes in the chiller, then we can bake it like this. Alright? So that's for the part 1. Done. So while I clean this area, Amanda will take over and do up the ganache.
Okay, so right now we are doing the ganache, and the ganache actually forms the second layer of the tart. We love something that is rich, so today I'm using a dark chocolate with some coconut cream. So firstly, we can place the chocolate into the Thermomix. So we'll close it up, and what we'll do is just blitz it for about 4 to 5 seconds. Maybe a little loud. Okay. And if you want to take a look, the inside of the Thermomix has really small pieces of chocolate. So they are all crumbled into really small pieces to melt very evenly in the ganache. So right now we'll put the Thermomix back. And what we'll do is add our coconut cream. If you wish to use other types of cream, that works as well. Today we wanted something with a coconut essence, and we use this cream. So we'll add the coconut cream on the inside. So after adding the coconut cream, we will close the bowl with the cover. We will adjust it to 2 minutes at 50 degrees at speed 5.
So are you like cooking through the chocolate?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And 50 degrees is not a too high a temperature, so it doesn't solidify the chocolate.
So the texture-wise will be like a cream-based kind of chocolate?
Yes, it will be very creamy and smooth, perfect for the second layer of our multi-layered tart. So we do recommend you to use dark chocolate because dark chocolate has a slightly bitter taste that would complement the rest of the sweet elements in this tart. But you can use other chocolate for your ganache. If you have a slightly sweeter soup, you can experiment with milk chocolate. Okay, so when this is done, we will take out the cover, and inside you will see a very smooth and silky ganache. But we are not completely done because what we want to do is scrape down the sides to make sure all parts of the chocolate has been fully melted into the coconut cream. So if you like to add a little bit more flavor, you can also add a bit of vanilla essence. So this would give it a slightly more enhanced and elevated feel. After scraping down the sides, I will put the Thermomix bowl back and I will put it at 1 minute for 50 degrees again at speed 5. Alright, so we're finally done. It just takes a couple of minutes to make a very smooth and silky ganache. So I'll take out the Thermomix. And I can show you the final consistency of the ganache. It's really smooth, perfect for any kind of tarts, or you can even put it on cakes. The good thing about our recipe is that we do provide many different components, so if you don't feel like doing the whole tart and you're feeling a little bit lazy, you can still do a very simplified dessert, doing very simple components like the ganache and a cake, and that works perfectly fine as well. Alright, so we're done with this element.
And it's time for me to bring the tart shell to bake. So it'll take another 10 minutes to bake the tart shell. So the next element that I'm actually making is actually the caramel sauce that is going to be tossed together with the bananas. So this is actually from, the caramel sauce is actually, the recipe is actually from the cookie dough. So it has a sugar stages. It will actually melt down the sugar at a perfect temperature. So yeah, so then the ingredients are actually very simple. So it's just sugar, cream and butter. Yeah. So let's start off with the caramel sauce. Okay, so just need to put in the sugar. Alright. Then the salted butter. Because I actually wanted a salted caramel, so I put in salted butter instead of the unsalted butter. So just add in sugar and butter. Okay.
So if you use salted butter, if you use an unsalted butter and you want a salted version, can you just add a little bit of salt?
Yes, you can actually control the salt level from there. Yeah. So I just add in the cream. Okay. So this part, you just need to cover up and you'll start to cook through. This will cook through for about 28 minutes. So while waiting, we can actually start off another element. But before that, I'll put my tarts to bake first. Yeah.
So right now, I will do the first step of our coffee crumble. The coffee crumble requires a coffee butter together with plain flour and sugar. So first we'll start off with making the coffee butter. And this coffee butter is very versatile. If you want to have it as a morning breakfast spread, that works as well. So what you need to do is add some butter. And we also added some coffee. If you like it to have a stronger coffee flavor, you can always add more coffee grounds. So what we'll do is close it up. We will now adjust the Thermomix to 4 minutes at 70 degrees for speed 1. So what we want to do is to melt the butter very gently, and in the process we are also infusing the coffee bits with the butter. And afterwards, the butter will be placed on a bowl and we'll let it set in the fridge. So what we want is a cold butter for the crumble later on. So I'm actually using instant coffee grounds. If you would like to do something that is a bit more elevated, you can use your favorite coffee grounds and put them in the butter. So for a kids-friendly version, you can either use Milo powder or tea leaves. And what we want to do is to melt these gently into the butter so it becomes a very flavorful butter for your crumble. Alright, and we are finally done with melting the butter and the coffee powder. If you are here right now, you can actually smell a very fragrant coffee powder. What we'll do is just pour it out. And you can see the color is really dark because of the coffee powder. If you want something stronger, you can add more coffee powder as well. So once we're done, what we're going to do is put this in the fridge and we're going to let it set for about an hour. While we're waiting for the butter to set in the fridge, we'll get started with the banana cake. And you don't need to use a new mixing bowl. You can use the same mixing bowl because the butter and the coffee powder will infuse more flavors into your banana cake. So what we'll do is add all the ingredients together. This is actually just a one-step process. We will add the bananas, which we will mash up first. So a quick tip is if you want something with more flavors, always use ripe bananas. And if you wish to give out even more flavor, you can roast the bananas in the oven at 180 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes till it's really dark in color. So I'm mashing the bananas very lightly. So we'll add the banana. And now we will also add the flour. Over here, we're just using plain flour because we have a lot of other components that also act as leavening agents. So this is the flour. Next, we'll add the butter. And it is always important to use room temperature butter because this will ensure that everything is well mixed. Next, we'll also add the sugar, 2 eggs with some vanilla extract on the inside. And we have different teaspoons of baking soda, baking powder, and cinnamon. If you'd like to add a bit more flavor, you can also add spices such as nutmeg and cloves. For today, we are keeping it simple, so we'll do cinnamon. And lastly, we also have buttermilk. So the importance of buttermilk is that it helps to keep the bread extremely moist, and therefore this actually creates a very soft consistency for the tart later on. Alright, so we are done. Now while waiting for everything, we'll put the dishes to the back.
My sauce is actually almost done. So what we need to do next is actually to add in the balanced cream into the sauce and then cook through for another 2 to 3 minutes. Alright, so same thing. Just cover up. So just continue to spoon it away and you'll be almost done. By the way, my tart shell is already done, so I'm gonna just leave it here for it to cool down. Okay. Okay, now our caramel sauce is done. Alright. Let's see. Okay, now we just need to pour it out.
Wow, so it's a smooth and golden.
Yes, smooth and golden caramel sauce.
Smells very buttery as well.
Yep. So now you can see it's a bit runny, but when we put inside the fridge, it will set a little more and it will become thicker. But before this step, we will toss the banana inside and then we'll freeze it up in the fridge. Okay, so just put it aside. So now we just use sliced bananas and we're just gonna toss it up with caramel sauce. Okay.
You can also use the sauce for different purposes, right?
Yes. We can use this sauce for all the other sweet desserts. Alright, we can just use a little bit of the caramel sauce. We just toss it like this. Okay. The sweetness really depends on the individual preference. If you want it to be sweeter, you can of course put in more caramel. If you don't want it to be too sweet, then lesser caramel. Yeah. So make sure everything is coated evenly with the caramel. Then we put the bananas in the fridge again before we assemble the tart together. Okay?
So now that all of the ingredients for the banana cake is in the mixing bowl, we are now going to blend it. So all you need to do is adjust it to 20 seconds at speed 5. Alright, and we're done. So what we can do is just take the bowl out. And before that, you want to have a tray lined with parchment paper. So this has already been prepared. The banana cake mixture is enough for 2 different portions, so you can actually make 2 or more tarts. So this is about 8 by 8 inch. And right now what we're going to do is just gently scrape the sides of the mixing bowl before we pour the mixture in. So as you can see, the mixture is really smooth and well combined, and there's also a strong banana flavor. Okay, so after we poured it in, we will just use the spatula to spread it very evenly. So we want to make sure that all sides are even for even baking. What I like to do is to give this baking tray a small shake and a slight tap. And we are done. So we're going to put it into the oven at 180 degrees for about 25 to 40 minutes. Alright, so now I'll place the remaining mixture in an extra tray. So if you wish to, you can also keep this mixture in the fridge and bake it whenever you like. So you can keep it for about 2 to 3 days. But it's best to eat it, it's best to use the mixture as soon as possible. So the banana cake mixture is ready. We'll now bring it to the oven to bake.
While the banana cake is baking, we are going to start off with the ice cream. Alright. Okay. It's gonna be a coconut ice cream that's gonna pair with the banana cake. Okay, so what we have here is actually frozen coconut water with coconut bits inside, then milk, cream, and sugar. Okay. So for the peanuts, it's actually for the crunch, so we're actually mixing after that. Alright? So now, with the help of Thermomix, the first step, we're gonna just make the sugar into final texture. So you're just gonna blend the sugar first. Alright, just pour in the sugar. Because we're not gonna cook through, we just want it to all mix in together. So just blend the sugar. Alright, speed. Alright. Just for about 10 seconds. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now the sugar is in the powder state. That's when we add in all the other elements, so that we want to have a sandy kind of texture in the ice cream. Okay. So to speed up the whole process, we actually uses the frozen coconut water instead of like the usual coconut water. So you can actually blend it faster. So just put in the coconut water.
Is it best for all the elements to be cold as well?
Yes, best to actually keep everything cold or even frozen, so you will speed up the whole process. Alright, then we add in the milk. All this coconut is actually freshly cut coconut, so it's actually, it will taste better. It will taste like, it's not so milky. Okay, so we just put in the cream as well. Everything in. Right. So now we're gonna just blend it all up like this. Okay. So I'm gonna use the turbo mode to just blend it all up. Okay, we just do it 2 times, okay, for a smoother texture. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, so it's all mashed up. We just need to put in the freezer bowl, and then we're gonna freeze it up, and we get our ice cream. Okay, so we're gonna freeze this up. Then we will fold in the peanuts after that. Okay? So done. I'm gonna just pour it in and freeze.
So if they like, they can also add a lot of fresh coconut shavings.
Even have like, you can have like fresh coconut bits to have the crunch as well. Okay? It's gonna just freeze it. In the interest of time, I have already prepared the ice cream in advance. So I have already scooped it out nicely. So it's in a ready shape. So all we need to do is actually to assemble everything together. So for the peanuts, it's actually mixed inside already. But for in the interest of time, we actually use the peanut to fold in every 2 hours interval. So the peanut will be nicely mixed inside.
Alright, so we're finally done with most of our components. We're left with the last 2 components, which is the macadamia nut drizzle as well as the crumble. So firstly, we'll start with the macadamia nut drizzle. What we do first is to place the macadamia nuts at 180 degrees for about 7 to 10 minutes. We want to achieve a golden brown texture. That is when we know that it is roasted and the flavor of the nut drizzle will be more intense. So we'll place the macadamia nuts over here. And if you wish to do it as a general spread, you can do that as well. It's very delicious and healthy. Okay, so we'll put it at about 1 minute for speed 8. Perfect, and we're done. So what we can do is just open it up. So it's best to use more nuts. This allows the Thermomix to blend everything in a quicker manner. Right now we'll add a little bit more of different components. We want to create a smooth and silky texture so that it will look really nice on the tart. So we add some oil and some sugar just for a tinge of sweetness. If you want, you can also replace this with honey. That works perfectly fine. And after that, we'll add a pinch of salt. I like it a little bit more salty, so I added 2 pinches. So you can close this up, and we'll go at 1 minute at speed 9. Okay, so we're finally done. And if you want a slightly smoother, spreadable nut drizzle, feel free to add more oil. Sometimes the oil content in the nuts may differ. Now that we are done, we will pour the macadamia drizzle out. So it's really smooth and very spreadable. It goes well on ice cream as well. And we'll leave it aside. And now that we're done with the drizzle, we can move on to the last component, which is the crumble. So I'll first take the coffee butter out from the fridge. We will use a spoon to scrape it down. By now the coffee butter has set, so it has a good consistency. And you can use the same bowl because this gives the coffee crumble a slight macadamia flavor. So if you find that the coffee butter has not set, you can put it in the freezer for a few more hours, and that works fine as well. So after adding the coffee butter, we will now add the flour, followed by the sugar. I also love to add a pinch of salt just for a little bit more flavor. And we'll close it up. So this is the final step. What we'll do is on the turbo function, and we will do it at 1 for about 2 to 3 times. So this actually allows the crumble not to become a paste. And we'll give a quick check. If it's not mixed well enough, we'll do the turbo function again. So you can see the crumble went perfectly fine. Alright, so now the very last step is to just transfer the crumble to a baking tray. Yeah, so what we'll do is just
Loosen it up.
Loosen it up by using our spoon to spread it out. And no worries if it becomes a little bit pasty. Afterwards, we can simply put them in a Ziploc bag and just crumble it up. Alright, so the crumble is done. We'll now place it in the oven at 180 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes until it becomes golden brown. So let me clean up everything and then we can start assembling.
In the interest of time, we have already prepared all the components. Now we're gonna assemble all together.
Even though many of these components may seem very daunting, but don't worry, we promise you that the results are worth it. So these are the components. Just put everything over here.
So let's start. The tart shell is already done up, so we're gonna put in the first layer, which is the chocolate ganache. So we're just gonna spread it across, alright?
And while Jingui is doing the chocolate ganache, I will cut the banana cake. So what we want to do is just to slice the top as well as the bottom for a neat and even layer. If you like more chocolate, we can add more ganache as well, right? So it's up to individual preference. While Jinghui is doing this, what we usually like to do to ensure a really nice shape for the cake is to use a tart ring. And we'll put a tart ring on the cake. So the cake is soft and moist. If you like a different flavor for the cake, you can always add macadamia or something else. So you can remove all the small parts of the cake. And don't waste the remaining parts of the cake. You can make it into a cake pop or you can just eat it as a snack. Okay, so what we're going to do is to trim the top, and if you find that the cake is a bit too thick, you can even slice a small portion off just to even it out.
By the way, I forgot the banana is in the fridge, so I put it here. So after the cake, we'll actually top in the bananas.
So what you want is really a thin layer of banana cake so that all the layers are more even. So we're doing just some little bit of leveling. Now that the cake is done, we will put it on top of the tart. Just neatly push it in and press it down.
Now the next one, we're gonna just put in the caramel bananas. The bananas are really nicely toasted in the caramel. So we just need to lay the bananas on the cake like this. So it gives the banana cake an additional level of banana taste. So like, yeah, just lay it nicely. Just be generous with the caramel a bit more so that the crumble later on will just stick on nicely.
It's also okay to let the caramel drizzle out on the surface so it creates a really nice appearance.
Now we add in the crumble.
Alright, so for this coffee crumble, what I did was just add some additional coffee powder on top. If you like it to be stronger in coffee, you can do that. If you like it to be a bit milder, you can omit this step. So right now, what we usually do is that for the crumble, we use a spoon to break it up into smaller pieces like this. So it'll be easier to spread. So you want some big pieces and small pieces just for a difference in texture. And then we can sprinkle a generous portion all over. If you want to, you can use your hands.
Yeah, you can use your hands. Clean hands.
Clean hands. So So the good part about the earlier step was that the caramel acts like a glue, so it helps to stick to the coffee crumble. So now I'll be using the macadamia nut drizzle to lightly pour over the crumble and the tart. You just want a generous portion all over.
Okay, so for the last part, we're gonna just top it up with the coconut ice cream with peanut chunks to give it additional crunch to it. So just scoop it up. And there we go. This is our coffee caramel banana tart.
We hope you enjoyed the tutorial and we look forward to seeing your creations. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.